Okay, technology worked for us this morning. This is Lance Luke and Martin Pia, and we're reaching out to you via this webinar on various different platforms. Thank you for attending. Those of you who are on our proprietary Zoom platform, and they were also restreaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So those of you who are on those, thank you. I see we got people from Hawaii, different parts of the United States, and even Europe. Well, that's interesting. Maybe you should find out these people from Europe, and maybe I can schedule a cruise and I can stop to visit them or something, get free advice. So, what's our topic today? Our topic today is talking about concrete. And it's not about concrete spalling, which is, a subject that I talked about a lot. But we're talking about something else, something different. It's pertaining to concrete, but it's not caused by uh, metal corrosion to cause a concrete problem. So our topic is from stable to fragile, the concrete crisis uncovered. And trying to advance here. This webinar is presented by Construction Management Inspection, which is a local Hawaii-based construction management firm. We do building inspections and construction management, all types of buildings. Let me go through this. If you're here's something interesting. If you don't know who I am or want to find more information, you go to your search engine, and most people use Google, and type in a question. And the question is, who is National Building Expert? And if my name doesn't pop up, let me know, because it should. I don't know if Martin's name pops up, but if it does, I'll be surprised. So National Building Expert, that's me. And then our webinar series is Ask the Building Expert. And let's see what else we got here. I'd like to share like a couple photos of me hanging off a building and on top of roof. Those are always fun. And let's go right to it. Stable to fragile, concrete crisis uncovered. Now, if you have cracks in your concrete slab, walkway slab, or sidewalk, porch area, you might not be not alarmed, but what happens if your cracks and damage and deterioration is happening to your house foundation? So if you look at these guys, they're like, oh, what's going on? Man, this is giving me a big headache. And I took a survey, and not many people know that do not live in the states that I'm going to be talking about. And I'm not going to be talking about Hawaii for a change. I'm going to be talking about other states in the mainland United States. So let's continue here. And you can find out what's going on across the other part of the United States. So understanding the crumbling concrete issue. Now, this whole issue, the crumbling concrete, was first identified in one state, one main state. And the word here is pronounced purotype. If you, it's weird. It's like a Greek word, but the first state that was problematic was in Connecticut, and it was linked to this mineral that was mined to mix with concrete to be used for building material. And this this mineral, pyrrhotite, is a naturally occurring iron sulfide mineral. So it's actually from the ground. It's not man-made. It's mined. You know, like how they mine gold, silver, and other minerals and things like that. So this this is what happened. So between the years, say 1983 and 2015, which is like about 10 years ago, concrete aggregate um, uh, sourced from a quarry in Willington, Connecticut. I haven't been there, but I know where it is. Willington, Connecticut, and it was used in many residential and commercial foundations, and the foundations were made out of concrete. So um, pyrrhotite itself is not harmful. Okay, so when it's mined, that mineral is not harmful. It's not like asbestos material, which is harmful. But the problem here is when people take that mineral and then you use it as a binder, and it's mixed into concrete. It's mixed with cement and water and sand and aggregate, mixed into concrete. And then let's say your building is completed. It's poured, the concrete dried, it's cured, it's hard. Then it gets exposed to moisture in the air. And then what happens is it there's a chemical reaction that gets triggered, and it expands and cracks the concrete over time. So can you imagine this mineral mixed with cement and all that to form concrete? And when the concrete dries, then all of a sudden, over a time period, there's a chemical reaction that causes cracks in the concrete over time. That's kind of scary. So in the state of Connecticut, that's when it was first discovered. And there was initial reports focus on northeastern Connecticut, but then the problem later expanded to nearby Massachusetts towns like Draycote. And this is regional now. So from one state, it goes to another state. So now we have two states, Connecticut and Massachusetts, that is problematic and has the problem. The initial discovery, the state of Connecticut first reported on this issue like probably 10 years ago. The news station NBC Connecticut reported it as a news article, and then that's how it brought attention to the problem. So locally, the people that were affected, of course, realized and were aware of the problem, but other people really didn't know. Like um, in other states like California or Hawaii or Florida, Texas, we didn't even know about this problem. Okay, and I'm in the industry and I should know about it, but this is, maybe I seen something come across and I thought, it's no big deal, just happened in one isolated area, maybe affected 20 houses or whatever that could easily be fixed. Okay. So let's understand the effects of this bad mineral. The mineral pyrrhotite reacts with water and oxygen, which leads to the formation of expensive minerals that weaken the structural integrity of the concrete. So the scary part of it is these buildings are already built. They're built already, and people are living in the houses or they're occupying the buildings, whether it's a rental apartment or office building or something like that. Now you have this foundation issue where the concrete is just kind of cracking and deteriorating. So there's 3 simple steps to understand what's happening. Step 1, it begins very slowly. It's not even noticeable. The cracks may take 10 to 30 years or more to become visible. And I talked to other engineers and they said, well, it's cracking from the inside, possibly. So if you don't see the crack on the outside, the exterior, there may be a crack on the inside. And then it gets worse to the point of now it manifests itself, and then you can see it on the exterior. Number two, the progress is gradually, it's like a gradient thing. So initial signs include fine spider web like cracks that worsen into deep fissures, rust colored stains, and white powdery residue. So if you see these things, there may be a telltale sign or a red flag. Now, if you're not located in those two states, and like let's say you live in Hawaii and you see these things, then that may be another issue that doesn't have to do with this kind of mineral. And number three, the worst part it is you can't fix it. It's irreversible. You can't treat it. You can't, like, something is wrong with you medically, your body. And you go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, okay, I'll prescribe this medication for you, and then you get better. Or you have like a cut, you need stitches. Okay, you go in, you have it stitched up, then eventually you get better. The doctor will take out the stitches, or in more modern times, the stitches just dissolve, or they use staples, right? So, and that dissolves, so you don't have to go back to the doctor to have your stitches removed, but you might have to go back to just check on things, see if there's any other reaction, see if there's any side infection or whatever. Okay, and that's a good part, that your body can heal itself. The problem with this situation here, it's irreversible. It doesn't heal itself. It doesn't get any better. So once the reaction has started, the affected concrete cannot be restored and must be completely replaced to maintain structural safety and structural integrity. Now, for comparison's sake, concrete spalling that's caused by rusted rebar, it's similar, where it cannot be, if it's really bad, it cannot be restored. You cannot, like, patch it. Okay, you have to completely remove the bad concrete and maybe treat the rebar or replace the rebar to maintain the existing as-built structural safety, structural integrity. Okay, so that's the bad thing. This mineral reacts with the water and air, and it starts to begin to degrade, and the concrete gets so bad that there's no way to repair it. You have to, like, restore the whole section. Okay. Now let's talk about identification of the crumbling concrete. Homeowners and property managers should be aware of certain key indicators, and instead of confusing the issue and giving you 15 or 20 different indicators, it's basically three basic ones. Number one, horizontal cracks. These are often seen in the foundation walls and can branch out like a web, like a spider web. So it starts with horizontal cracks and it gets worse. Number two, rust-colored residue. So this may appear on the concrete surface, signaling the presence of deteriorating rebar or internal reactions. So similar to identification of possibly spalling conditions, if you see rust-colored stains, like, most of it is going to be vertical stains, not horizontal, although horizontal is also prevalent. But the reason for vertical stains is you have moisture coming out of the wall or whatever the concrete location is. And due to gravity, the moisture, let's say you have, micro droplets of water that contain the rust in it, and that's why it's the rust color. And because of gravity, it's dripping down the wall or column or something, and that's why for the most part, it's vertical, not horizontal. And then number three, white pottery deposits, almost like super old concrete that got so old that now it's like turning into powdery. So the consistency, it looks like fine baby powder kind of thing, or you ever seen like baking powder or something like that? That's kind of what it looks like. So these white pottery deposits, these indicate minerals leaching out, and it's a result of moisture interactions within the concrete. Now, if you're listening and you work for law enforcement, this white powdery thing could look like cocaine also. So that's just, give you a relative idea. Sorry, I'm trying to advance. Okay. Um, Connecticut, like I mentioned, is the epicenter of the crisis. And, when I was not interested, I thought it affected like 20 homes. And later on, I was doing more research and I found out, oh, it affected 35,000 homes that were impacted. 35,000. That's a lot of homes. Imagine what the value of that is. If each home, I don't know what the value of the homes are in Connecticut, but um, is it 350,000, 500,000, whatever it is, if you multiply that by 35,000, I mean, you have a huge number. So Connecticut has been hit hardest by this crumbling concrete crisis with over 35,000 homes affected. The issue stems from the use of concrete containing pyrrhotite, a mineral found in aggregate, like I mentioned, and it's sourced from what's known as Becker's Quarry in Willington, Connecticut. So they identified it, they traced it back to a specific quarry called Becker's Quarry, where it was mined from. So the homes built between 1983 and 2015 using this aggregate have experienced slow but severe deterioration with foundations cracking and weakening over time. So if any of you have been to or know the community of Hawaii Kai in East Oahu in Honolulu proper. Okay, Hawaii Kai has about 30,000 homes. Can you imagine every single home in that Hawaii Kai community got affected by this? That's how many homes and houses we're talking about. So it's not a very small number. It's huge. So there's this foundation that was established. Acronym is CFSIC, which stands for Connecticut Foundation Solutions Indemnity Company. And recognizing the severity of the issue, how important and grandiose this whole thing was, Connecticut, the state, established this foundation to provide financial assistance to affected owners. Okay, that's a good thing. The government is actually helping out. So this foundation covers costs for testing, repairs, and complete foundation replacements. So it's a little thing to do to ease the immense financial burden faced by the 35,000 homeowners. This program has been a lifeline for many, offering structured and accessible aid to those struggling with the crisis. So at least there's an answer. Okay, there's help here. It's sort of like if you have a hurricane and you're in Georgia or Florida, and your house is blown away, or tornado, FEMA comes and gives you financial assistance. So there's, of course, economic and structural challenges, and we'll talk about that. Cost of repairs. So replacing or repairing a crumbling foundation can cost anywhere between 150,000 and 300,000, which is expense often not covered by insurance. Okay, so even if the people had homeowners insurance, the insurance company is saying that's not covered by our insurance policy because, of whatever reason they're saying. The other thing is the value of the property declines because let's say if you have a house with that type of mineral in it, there's not the most current value that you can get because your house is considered defective, right? Your house is considered problematic. So homes with crumbling foundations lose significant value, making it hard for owners to sell or refinance. So let's say you want to sell your house and you have to disclose by real estate seller disclosure law that your house foundation, your concrete has this kind of mineral in it. Do you think a buyer would want to buy your house knowing that there's a problem? And if they say, well, okay, I still like the house. I'm still interested. But if they find out what the cost is, 150,000, to 300,000, they might say, well, I changed my mind. I'm not interested in buying it now. The other thing is structural instability. Cracking foundations pose serious safety risks, potentially leading to hazardous living conditions if left unaddressed. So in other words, it's so problematic if it's not fixed, it could lead to serious health and safety issues. So now let's move to the state of Massachusetts, which is also affected. So the spread of this problem, the crumbling concrete crisis, has spread to this state also, when many homes near the Connecticut border using the contaminated concrete from the same sources during the same time period of 1983 to 2015. So the same quarry was selling the mineral, and the builders were using it in the two states, Connecticut and Massachusetts. So here's the help. So advocacy efforts, the Massachusetts Residents Against Crumbling Foundations group, right? Which was not part of state government. These are private homeowners that got together and they advocated for state action and financial assistance programs similar to those in Connecticut. So what happened was they said, hey, we don't live in Connecticut. Connecticut had financial assistance. Well, why can't our state have that too? And so the state of Massachusetts lacked a formal program like the state of Connecticut, leaving homeowners to cover the costly testing and repairs entirely on their own. So did the state of Massachusetts help the homeowners like Connecticut? The answer is no, they didn't. So homeowners' legal and financial struggles. This led to lawsuits, insurance challenges, all kind of negative things going on. Homeowners have sued their contractors, their builders, suppliers, arguing they should have known the risks of pyrrhotite contaminated concrete. Without insurance coverage for foundation issues, homeowners must cover repair costs on their own. So put yourself in their place. Imagine you have a house and then it was discovered that it had this problem with the concrete and your insurance company said they're not covering it. Are you able to cover it on your own and pay what the cost is for the fix or initial testing? Okay. So there's a huge financial impact on homeowners. Repairing a crumbling foundation can cost anywhere between 150,000 to 300,000, often and many times without insurance coverage or insurance help, pushing some homeowners into debt or foreclosure. Now, let's stop for a second, okay, and think about all these wildfires going on. If people's houses burnt down and the insurance didn't help pay, can these people, do they have like an additional pot of money in savings account to help fund building a new house? The answer is no. That's why a lot of these homeowners just couldn't rebuild again and they just moved on. They left. State assistance program. So Connecticut's program provides funding for repair, but Massachusetts doesn't have a program, leaving homeowners with few financial aid options. So the state didn't really help. So let's back up a bit and I'll give you an overview of visual and core testing methods, how to detect. So you may ask, well, I don't know if my house has this. How do I find out? Well, virtual testing. You hire a licensed engineer to inspect for signs of damage, such as cracks, rust-colored stains, pottery residue, to assess the potential pyrrhotite-related issues. And then that's the visual side of it. Then you need the actual laboratory testing. And that where we talk about core sampling. What is core sampling? They use this machine like a hammer, and there's an empty core, and they hammer that core into the concrete wall or foundation. And when they pull that out, it has a sample of the concrete that's in a core. It's a tubular kind of thing. It looks like a toilet paper or paper towel roll, and that's what the shape of it is. So the concrete sample is extracted and sent to laboratory for testing to confirm the presence of this mineral. This method is more invasive, but provides definitive results. So similar to asbestos or lead paint, you need to send it to a laboratory to confirm whether it's actually this type of material or not. No matter how trained an engineer is, they can't look at the sample and say, yes, I think it is for sure, right? They can say it mostly looks like it, but until you get laboratory testing, they can't say 100%. Similar to, you have an engineer that would look at asbestos or lead paint. They can't say whether it's 100% for sure. And when people ask me, I say, well, it does look like it could be problematic, but I don't know. You have to send it to a laboratory and have a certified laboratory give you the analysis. And then you use licensed professional engineers. So engineers, and it's mostly structural engineers, ensure accurate detection and assessment of foundation damage. Now, there may be some geotechnical engineers, soil engineer or civil engineers, if they're familiar with or maybe have a secondary degree in identification of structural issues and stuff. So the expertise of these engineers would help homeowners understand the extent of deterioration and plan necessary repairs or replacements. So the first thing is, engineer would look at it and say, oh, I think it's a problem, send it to a lab. Now, when the lab test results come back and it's positive, then you want to use the same engineer to help you with your repair plan. What needs to be done, and have that the plans and specifications completed before you actually get cost proposals from your contractors that are going to do the repair. So what is being done, current and proposed solutions, Massachusetts advocacy efforts. So these groups are still talking to the state about getting state funds for the fix. And then also there's a call to get the federal government in, federal assistance and multi-state collaboration. So federal support to fund and standardize efforts against this mineral contamination. So they may need to, go further than their state government and appeal to the federal government. So Connecticut Foundation Solutions Indemnity Company, number one, they provide financial aid for homeowners. Number two, the Massachusetts Advocacy Group are really trying to work and come up with a plan to copy what Connecticut did, and then to push for federal assistance for both Connecticut and Massachusetts. The problem is not going to go away, and it needs help from the government. Repair and replacement techniques, complete removal of the damaged foundation and reconstruction with pyrrhotite-free concrete to ensure structural integrity. So you got to take out the bad stuff and then replace it with new good stuff. Long-term prevention. You got to get the right construction materials from, verified pyrrhotite-free suppliers and adopt rigorous quality control during construction. Okay. And then you want to use the highest quality materials and expert services to help you. So in addition to just having your contractor do the repair, you want to have your structural engineer there also doing spot checks or spot inspections to make sure that materials are good, contractors doing a good job, and you want a guarantee of a robust and long-lasting foundation, minimizing future risks. So you're going to restore value to your property. So the conclusion, I know I kind of went through this kind of fast, but the conclusion is, if you have this bad mineral, you need to do something about it. And there's help in those two states, and just keep fighting the government and asking for help. The people that bought these houses, these homes, right, did not know of the problem, so it's not their fault. So although if the insurance company doesn't come to the table and contribute anything, you want the government to, and that's why there's various suits there. And the contractor, the builder, may or may not have even known about the problem, right? It's similar to the lead paint asbestos. At the time that it was in use, no one knew that it was problematic, right? But in order to get whole, right, and a home is like the number one most expensive asset that a person would own. So it's very important to get the problem identified and fix the problem. So that's what I have to say. Unfortunately, this situation happened, and just trying to get to the fix as fast as possible without too much headache and all that. It's similar to masonite siding. At the time when the siding came out, and this is wood siding, everyone thought, wow, this is good material. It's cheaper than wood, and it's easier to handle. But then they didn't know that when this material, and it's commonly called hardboard siding, Masonite, Louisiana, Pacific, other companies like that manufactured it, all had class action lawsuits, and they basically shut down that division that manufactured these home products. And what happens is, when it gets into contact with water, with rain, moisture, snow that melted, the hardboard siding starts developing mold and mildew and deteriorating, and it's just wood rot. And that's why all these companies got sued, and there was a big class action lawsuit. So no one can use that product anymore because it's not made anymore and sold, but there's still a lot of board feet, a lot of townhouses and single family houses that were made with that material that's still prevalent today. And they're going to eventually have to replace. No matter how often you paint, if the wood is already rotted out, you're painting over rotted wood, so it's not going to last as long. Eventually you get to the point where the paint is just holding things together, not the integrity of the wood itself or the wood product itself. And the hardboard siding is not solid wood. It's not even sheets of wood laminated like plyboard. Plyboard comes from a tree, right? It's real. The hardboard siding is manufactured. It's just ground up sawdust mixed with resin and things like that. So that's what the difference is. But getting back to this Pyrrhotite product, that's what I have to say. And before I open it up to Q&A, I'm going to just go through what you missed if you didn't attend our previous webinars. We talked about different building materials, different types of construction and building. And so if you go to our website, we talked about almost every single topic. What's coming up, we have a couple of webinars for next month. June, which is we're talking about cesspools in Hawaii, and another webinar we're giving, and can't find my paper on it. Oh, here it is. Cesspools in Hawaii, that's in June, and also in June is coastal erosion around the world. So we'll leave Hawaii at that point, and then we're going to be traveling to different parts of the world talking about coastal erosion, coastal communities where we have erosion, talking about maybe climate change, sea level rise, that kind of thing, in general, and more specific in different locations around the world that are experiencing problems where homes are actually falling into the ocean or it's going to in the future. Okay, so that's in June. And then on our website, askbuildingexpert.now.site, we're maintaining that site on a daily basis. It's a huge website. We got all kinds of things, such as expert websites. So if you go to that website, you can probably go to 20 or more other websites, maybe 50, and I lost count, on different topics, such as painting, waterproofing, contractor licensing in Hawaii, asphalt, Lahaina wildfire, things like that. Also, we have our National Building Expert blog, good stuff in there. And then you go to our webinar page and select what webinar you want to listen to. And you don't need a Netflix account. You don't have to pay. It's all free. Just log on. Be sure to get some popcorn or some snacks because you want to be sure you have refreshments while you watch, right? Let your boss know if you're at your office watching the webinar, saying, "Hey, this is community education. I'm not playing video games or anything like that." And then books. We've written books, a lot of books. I think I'm up to like between 55 and 60 books that are published on Amazon. And if you want to purchase the book, that's fine. You can go to Amazon and plug in the title and make your purchase. Or if you don't feel like you want to do that and you want to get it free, go to our website and you can download the book for free and you get an ebook. But you might want to do that soon, because we're gonna, at a certain point, turn things over and stop giving away all the free stuff, because Martin and I need lunch money, and that's our way of kind of buying lunch, and we like to eat too. So visit our website. We got like other side websites like constructionexperts.now.site, and other websites you might want to check it out. So that's a little promotion there of our website. If you have any other topics you want covered, reach out to us, and we'll have our board review those and consider it for a future webinar. So right now it's a Q&A time, and hopefully you have some questions. I got answers, and if you need to get a hold of us, Lance Luke, and my phone number 808-754-3425. Email lanceluke@hawaiibuildingexpert.com. So now that I gave you contact information, you have that. So let's see, I'll turn it over to Martin, and let's see if we have anybody that had any questions, concerns, comments. If you don't have a question, but you want to make a comment, that's fine too. We welcome that. And those of you who are on our social media platforms, if we don't get to it today, we'll be sure to answer it sometime in the future. We take pride in responding to every single question that people have, because we want to make sure we take care of you, and that's what it's all about. So Martin, let me reach out to you right now.
Yes, Lance, I am here, and I do have questions from our audience here.
Okay, great.
The first one is, it looks like a clarifying or clarifying question is, they're asking, what is pyrolite or pyrrhotite, I'm sorry, and how does it cause concrete foundations to deteriorate over time? How does it really work? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe this person tuned in a little late, but so basically it's a mineral, okay? It's not man-made, so it's a mineral from the earth, and they use it to mix with um, cement, okay, in the mixing process, and that forms concrete. Now, there's a difference between cement and concrete. The words used interchangeably a lot, but um, by the proper definition, cement is a product that's used to make concrete. Okay, so concrete is a finished product of cement, actually. So in order to make concrete, there's components like cement, aggregate, which is like small rocks, sand, and water, and it's mixed all together. In some cases, like in Connecticut and Massachusetts, they use that pyrrhotite product, and mixed it in with the cement and used it as sort of a binder. So all those are mixed together, and when it's mixed, it comes in a hard, a kind of like a harder liquid form. So it's not liquid that you can pour out, but it's more, the consistency is thick, very thick, like quicksand or something like that. And that's the cement product. And when they mix it all together, it's raw concrete that hasn't dried yet. So let's say you're pouring a sidewalk. So you have your mixture together, it's in liquid state, you pour it, you trowel it and all that, and you let it dry. And when it's dried, then that's called your finished product concrete. So that's the difference. So when somebody says, hey, look at that cement building, well, it's really a concrete building that's made out of cement. Okay, so that's the difference. But in answer to the question, that product, that mineral was mixed with the products and turned into concrete, and they made your concrete slab foundations, raised foundation, your walls and things like that. Your columns are used with that material. And what happens is through moisture and air, gets, you know, mixed in with this concrete, or it lands on a concrete that has this mineral in it, and it starts dissolving, it starts deteriorating the mineral. So let's say that you have uh, some baking powder, and you mix it in, and you make like a little wall out of it. Okay, so the baking powder dries. Okay, then when it rains and the water hits the baking powder starts dissolving. Okay, that's what's happening in like a simple layman's terms, layperson's terms. So it's deteriorating. All of a sudden now you have these voids or cracks. And can you imagine your foundation, your house sitting on this stuff? So the voids are creating a structural instability, a structural problem, and then it becomes not safe. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what's happened.
Oh, very good, Lance. Thank you for clarifying. I usually mix up the cement and concrete, but now I realize concrete is like a compound composition of the cement and other stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Very good. Very good. Now I shouldn't make the mistake anymore.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm going to correct you when I hear that.
All right. The next question is kind of related to what we just talked about there, and it's more specific. So the question that's coming is, why is the crumbling concrete crisis concentrated in Connecticut and Massachusetts only? At least,
Okay, because that's where this pyrrhotite mineral was found. They uh, it was a quarry, and they started harvesting they started mining this material for them to use for the building product. Um, I'm not sure where else this mineral is, and I'm sure it's in different other places, and um, maybe it just hasn't been used like that in other states that would have it. So I'm not really sure, and I'm not aware at this time of other places that other states besides Connecticut and Massachusetts that have this mineral, and the mineral was used as a component of a building product for house construction. Um, I think it may be out there, but it's just not discovered yet. So we're not sure at this time.
oh, okay, good. Very, very good. That's a good clarifying. And it kind of brought up a question, if I can ask, is um, do we know what other minerals or whatever are included in our concrete here? So that obviously it's not that pyrrhotite, but what happens, in the Hawaii concrete? What other things do they throw in there to make ours? Do you know what that is? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah. There's different components, and most of it is the cement, aggregate, sand, and we have a lot of sand in Hawaii, right?
Mm.
And the aggregate is actually the rocks that are um, bigger rocks turned by the quarry. It's made into smaller rocks. So from the quarry, they have bigger rocks that they sell for making rock walls, and then they crush those rocks and into different size of aggregate. So you have bigger size aggregate that is used to create temporary roads, and then from that size they uh, crush it further into smaller size aggregate, and sometimes they call it pea gravel, but the smaller size aggregate is the ones that's used to mix with the cement and sand to make concrete. And
Oh,
and
okay.
the reason for the smaller aggregate is because of the integrity of the small rocks. If you just use all cement and sand, you don't have enough integrity, and eventually it will start falling apart. That's the reason why reinforcing steel is used in the concrete, because now it becomes a structural thing. Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
in Hawaii, I don't think you have to worry about the quality of the concrete. And you got to make sure that the water that's used to mix with the cement is clean, is not doesn't have any kind of too much bacteria and stuff in it. So in other words, if you take, and you have to use clean fresh water. You can't use seawater to mix with the cement to make concrete, and you can't use like wastewater. It has to be clean water. It's very strict. So I wouldn't worry about um, the condition of the concrete itself. I would probably worry about the workmanship in making whatever concrete they're making, whether it's a concrete slab, walkway, structural beam or column or something like that. That would be, my number one importance to check.
Oh, very good. Yeah, so it sounds like it's more a matter of whatever the local mineral rock things are in the community that they use to put in, just like the problem they had with Connecticut and Massachusetts. Here we get, well, we're lucky here. We get good quality rocks, an aggregate or whatever, from sand to the lava rock or whatever, and then we get pretty good quality water, I guess, compared to some. So that makes it a lot better for us. So we should have good concrete. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
we should, but here's the thing. Even if we have good concrete, you gotta maintain it. Now, if you see telltale signs, like let's say you're a condo board member or property manager, right? Um, or you live in a condo, right? You have to maintain the building, because if you have concrete spalling, that's water getting in because you didn't paint in the proper cycle. And then now you have crumbling concrete. It's not caused by this mineral, it's caused by corroded rebar, right? Which is a different set of circumstances, but nonetheless, it's still going to be costly and it needs to be fixed. Okay, so just because the concrete is good, I'm not saying not to worry. I'm still saying you still have to worry about making sure it's maintained. And if you see older buildings around town, no matter what town you live in, even if you live in other countries like Portugal and uh, London, and you look at older buildings and you see these scaffolds or sky climbers, and they're fixing the exterior walls of the building. That's what needs to be done. And when I went to Barcelona, Lisbon, and looked at these high rise, even low rise buildings, and they're doing concrete spalling repair and painting, that's the reason. They're trying to prevent these buildings from falling down. And in these buildings, in these countries are super old. They're 100, 200 years old, right? Or older. I don't know. And in Hawaii, the buildings aren't that old. They're built in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So these older buildings need to be fixed frequently, more frequently, because of their age. Yeah. So I digressed a little, but let's get back to the point.
Oh, that's good, and thank you for that explanation and the answers. So you're right. Maintenance is the key for everything, whether it's your building, your car, yourself. Yeah. If you don't
Right.
maintain it, it doesn't keep working. Yeah. Okay. We have a couple of questions, more questions here. Let me get to the next one. It's asking, how can homeowners detect pyrrhotite in their concrete foundations, and what are their steps in testing that?
The first thing is a visual. Get an engineer to go and take a look, and um, But chances are, if you're in the same neighborhood and our other neighbors, the contractor developer built all these houses and they use the same contractor, same material. If your neighbors have this problem, chances are you do too. Okay, so the first thing is a visual, have an engineer come and look at the cracks and determine what the condition is of the foundation. And then secondly, have laboratory testing done, um, for the absolute final result. That's what the proper procedure is. Otherwise, you don't know for sure what's going on, and you need to know what's going on. Even if you don't have the money to fix it, you still need to know what the problem is.
Very good, thank you. And the last one
Yeah.
that's come up here so far is what preventive measures and repair strategies can help homeowners address foundation damage caused by that pyrrhotite?
Well,
Touched on it, yeah.
well, the first thing is you really can't prevent it, right? Unless there's well, you can kind of prolong the agony, but once it starts happening, it doesn't stop, right? So even if you covered your whole house up with a tent, right, and not let any moisture in, once it happens, it's still happening. And even if you do that, you're not getting to the root of the problem, which is you gotta remove the bad material. And how do you do that? It's by demolition and taking it away. So it's kind of a hard pill to swallow when you have this kind of situation, and it's the fix is total. The fix is demolition and building back new. There's no band-aid approach to the fix. You can't like dig out one area and now patch it with good concrete, because the other area is still going to be problematic, right? So um in some cases it's worse than concrete spalling, because spalling, you can fix the spalled areas and the rest of the concrete is, it may be okay, right? And that's in a situation where the concrete doesn't have this kind of bad mineral in it. So it's basically all or nothing. That's what it comes down to.
Very good. Looking here at our social areas, I don't see any other questions or comments right now, but thank you so much for the cement to concrete education today.
Yeah, sure. Remember, I always give concrete and factual information, right? You can fact check what I say, what we give to you, and we do this because we want to educate people and help people in the building and construction industry. There's many homeowners, condo owners, property managers, contractors who want to help everybody sharing our information. So on behalf of Martin and myself, Ask the Building Expert webinar series, we thank you for attending. It means a lot to us when you tune in, because we're happy. It's sort of like, you know, we spent time and money and energy, creating this webinar. And let's say it's Mission Impossible and I'm Tom Cruise. I'm happy that you come to watch it, right? Although we're not collecting money for it, we're happy that we're able to share the information. And sometimes it may be entertaining, sometimes it may be boring, like, gee, I don't need to know this stuff. But who knows? Somebody that may be bored may have a problem and they need help. And we welcome you to keep in contact with us and continue the engagement. And yesterday, I had a person that posted on Facebook, and there was a social media promotion um, that were promoting our company, and they went on and posted on a subject where they went to an open house. This is a realtor. They went to an open house, and somebody commented that, oh, the railing spacing is too wide, and um, the stairs and all that. So this must not meet the code. And I responded back with, I could have gone into 5 paragraphs of explanation that reported back that it, it, it may have met the code at the time, but it doesn't meet the code now. Therefore, that condition is grandfathered. Like, I don't know the details. Was this a brand new house or was it an older house, right? If it was an older house, then were renovations done to the railing um, for the stairs and the balcony? If so, what time period? What was the code back then? So there's all these parameters that come into play. So sometimes I cannot give a definitive answer right away. I need to know more information. Like if somebody, like one time at a seminar I gave, somebody gave me the situation and then they said, is it to code or not? And I go, I can't tell you because there's more than one building code. There's like more than 20 different codes. So I don't know which one applies, right? And I got to go back and look at the time period and look to see what kind of property it was. Did it fall in a residential code or was it a commercial building that would follow the international building code? So it's not that easy. It gets kind of technical, right? So, but we're game. Ask us whatever hard questions or technical questions. And sometimes I gotta say, I don't know. Can you like email me some photos? And then let me take a look at it. Okay, so um, your invitation to attend the next webinar is out there. We thank you for attending this one and hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. Aloha. Okay, so let me see here.